This is an amazing place, Ventura County the Amazing, and here's a couple of little tidbits. The first is that Ventura County has more people than 5 states. The second part, as we talk about the issue of farm worker housing in the future, is Ventura County by itself is the 53rd largest economy in the world. The other thing that was amazing, the third thing was, it was mentioned earlier, 50 to 60 feet of soil depth. Now, 50 to 60 inches is excellent farmland. 50 or 60 feet really does not need to have a Walmart planted on it ever. But to make it useful, we have to have a place for the people working on it to live.
Ventura County is actually one of the 3 best places in the world to grow food.
This is a very, very wealthy area from a resource standpoint. We produce more in dollars, at least farm dollars, per acre than any other county in the state.
Preserving agricultural land in Ventura County is a critical part of SOAR's mission. We understand that agriculture is more than just a pretty view, and that, among other things, preserving farmland requires providing adequate shelter for the people who make our agricultural economy work.
All of this beautiful green space that we see as we drive our streets and freeways is not open space. It's not parkland. It is an economic engine. One of the main pieces of that economic puzzle is that we have to have a stable workforce. And one of the necessities of a stable workforce is decent housing.
There's going to be a place for people living on the farms. And I would hate to see that go away. I'm glad there are some new changes in our regs to make that easier.
We have 15 full-time year-round employees, and they are all provided with ranch housing for themselves as well as their families. The basic county regulations are you can have 1 unit of farm worker housing for 40 acres in production. The units have to be 1,800 square feet or less in size. Septic system is okay for a few individual houses, more than very many, and a sewer system is required.
It's no secret to everyone in the room that we have a housing crisis in Ventura County for affordable housing for everyone.
In an area where agricultural land is something that we want to preserve, we need to then look very seriously at producing higher density housing. There is no choice. We have to do one or the other.
And I think we have to very directly confront that contention that farm worker housing is a county problem, not a city problem. It is something that the cities are going to have to play a major role in helping to solve.
But we really need to focus on educating those that are already elected. Because I've been to city council meetings all over the county where I've had up to hundreds of farm workers in jurisdictions talking about this need, and the votes just aren't there. Because the bottom line is that when it gets down to the housing being built, it takes those 3 votes.
And every city and every county has to have a housing element to demonstrate that we have land available for it, and that we have some reasonable way of putting together farm worker housing projects, identify perhaps how many units we need for our community.
Particularly in a town such as Santa Paula, but it's applicable to every town in this county, is the opportunity for redevelopment and infill of some of the existing areas. These are areas where the infrastructure exists. They are inherently close to transportation and services. They already have the zoning that is required, specifically make it available as a farm worker housing opportunity.
This is an infill project. This is Meadow Street Apartments. And the beauty of this one is that it was built in the downtown area of Oxnard. Transportation Center is just to the north. This is the new phase of farm worker housing for us in the county. We're trying to put together something that has dignity, will be an asset to the community, and when people drive by in 10, 15 years from now, it'll continue to look like that. Recognizing that land is very difficult to come by, we are now looking at ways to increase the density and be smart about how we do it. How does it happen? Well, it takes several layers of financing in order to put a product like that together. You can't have overcrowding. That's going to ruin it right away. So occupancy standards are going to be part of the equation. You must be employed in agriculture.
To date, CVHC has constructed over 2,500 affordable housing units throughout Riverside County. CVHC has partnered with the County of Riverside to provide the first 128-bed migrant project in Coachella Valley. The units are designed with 4 bedrooms, 2 persons per bedroom, 2 full baths, a full-size kitchen and living room. The tenants pay $25 per person per week, which includes utilities.
Mutual self-help housing is what we do. In mutual self-help housing, the families work together to build their community and their homes. They actually perform up to 70% of the labor. Subcontractors do the electrical, plumbing, stucco, and drywall.
The people who are actually being selected, they have to be willing, number one, to build their own house. They have to be willing to go through workshops, which we train them since they have never owned a house before, train them what they need to do for home ownership. The way we do this is to try to get organizations such as churches and corporations to actually sponsor a house where they would come in and pick up a good percentage of the cost of the out-of-pocket cost for Habitat to build, and then we'll go ahead with the volunteers and build the house.
We did a similar thing in terms of trying to bring together all the people to deal with the issue of farm worker housing when we were having a crisis in Napa Valley. The Farm Worker Oversight Committee is very important, and I think that you're moving in that same type of direction, which is that committee there brings together everybody who has any interest in farm worker housing. It was basically appointed by the County Board of Supervisors. Each of the cities in our jurisdiction has an appointment to it. We wanted a commitment from each of the jurisdictions that they were going to have an elected at the table who would know what was going on. It could make commitments of resources to answer the problems and issues. It also has industry representatives. We have the vintners, the farm growers, community representatives, advocacy representatives, and citizens at large.
So I just want to give you the concept that farm worker housing is not a burden to the community, it's an asset. So in Half Moon Bay, 10 miles south of San Francisco, the county was able to secure a 42-acre valley, Moonridge, our farm worker project of 160 units for families. It's permanent housing that's enriched with a lot of services. We have found that by providing lots of community facilities, we get tremendous outpouring of community organizations that are willing to come on site and provide services. So we have teen programs, we have ESL classes, we have parenting classes, we have financial literacy classes. The resources that we have brought into Half Moon Bay with this housing, I think just about everybody in town would agree, have made the community better, have made the schools better, and I think people feel really good about what has happened there. Thank you.
So, what's the big stumbling block, right? Barbara, you want to talk about political will?
Politicians love to do the right thing. They do. And the right thing is defined by who thinks it's right. And I've had people screaming, you know, you can't bring in this housing. It's fear of the unknown. That's part of the problem. You know, it's like all these myths. It's going to lower my property values. Well, we saw that this morning. What was it? The Habitat House. They put a Habitat House on the lot, and all of a sudden next door they're selling for $500,000 on C Street. So, you know, we got to break down the myths. And when people get together, you break down myths.
And we need to start to begin to educate our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, our professional acquaintances to the benefits of supporting agriculture as an economic engine, as Marcia Ray has pointed out, and to supporting the community and the children in these communities that will become our future leaders.
So I want to just say that it's not about money, it's more about people, and it's more about organizations coming together to take a piece of the action.
The work that's going on today is an example of a strong American tradition of we the people getting together to insist on change and raising expectations. The question is now, how do we move forward to make the county better and to address the issue of farm worker housing?
You either work or you live in a community in this county. And so we need a little task force in each one. We've got a pretty strong one, the strongest one going in Santa Paula. We've got one in Ventura. We need more of that. And when we get projects, we need a network.
We actually need a large network of networks, which is what we have in this room. You need the business community, real estate developers, farm families, farm worker representatives and others, and politicians and others to get together in a room to come up with a big network to insist that something happen. Everyone has a piece of the puzzle, and I would ask you to think, what is the barrier, opportunity, or resource you can be on farm worker housing, and how can you stick to it? What is that piece you can do?